Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic and fabulous week wherever you are on this amazing planet of ours. We're not going to discuss what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, there's enough coverage of that. Let's try and keep this show lighthearted and happy and something for us to all sort of take away in a positive sort of way because, you know, there's enough negativity and things going on in the world that, you know, I want this next half an hour to be something that's enlightening and positive and just sort of lifts your spirits a little bit. So the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Ace of Pentacles. Now, the Ace of Pentacles is money coming. It can be the card of your divine wish being granted. Now, look, many of us might sort of say, look, I have many different divine wishes that I'd like. But for most of us, it's usually connected to money. That's usually the thing that most of us sort of dream of or think we could do with a little bit more of than what we've got. So when I see the Ace of Pentacles come out in a reading, I always look at it as, yes, look, there's more money coming, but it's also a time to sort of say to the universe exactly what it is you want and what you need. The universe doesn't always grant every wish, but at least if they're well aware and they're well informed of what is the most important thing in your life at the moment or the most important change that you would like in your life at the moment, then maybe there's a slim chance that the universe can start to sort of bring that towards us. So that's where the divine wish comes in. So it's a time of, you know, hopefully some extra money coming in to help with the cost of living around the world, which seems to be soaring everywhere. I don't think it's just here in Australia. From everything I read and see, it's everywhere in the world. People are struggling to try and keep food on the table and keep the, you know, the basic bills paid, never mind any luxuries. It's a time of sort of, you know, I think reevaluating what's really important to us. And, you know, sometimes I think going back to basics is a good idea and then start to layer upon after that. But, you know, sometimes I think we get a little bit out of control and a little bit green-eyed about somebody else has got more than we've got and how come they've got it and we haven't got it. You know, maybe take it back to basics. And maybe that's what your divine wish is being granted, is to simplify your life, take things back to basics, be very grateful and happy with what you've got. And most of all, be happy that you're still here, that, you know, if you've got your health, you've got everything. So it's an interesting time astrologically at the moment. Look, I've read lots of stuff online and I've seen lots of predictions from other different astrologers at how Uranus is going to affect the world when it goes into Gemini. Look, it's not happening till the end of April, so let's not even go there yet. Let's not panic and put the cart before the horse. You know, let's just sort of live in the now, I think is very important for the moment, because we're too busy sometimes looking too far ahead that we forget to live in the present moment. And the present moment is what we've got. This is what we should be enjoying. So again, happy birthday to all the Pisceans. It's still that magical time of the year of Pisces where I think it's a lovely time of the year. It tells us to sort of not so much slow down a little bit, but enjoy what the energy is about, you know, that it's creative, it's musical, it's a time to sort of do a little bit of daydreaming or thinking about what you might want to achieve for the year. It is the end of the astrological year, Pisces energy. Pisces is the 12th sign. And a lot of astrologers have written over the years that they call it the dustbin. I certainly don't call it the dustbin of the zodiac. I call it the most enlightened sign because, in my opinion, and I've been working with astrology for a very, very long time now, that you've collectively got the power and the information and the knowledge of the previous 11 signs. And Pisces is able to sort of pick and choose what it wants to take on board and says, oh, well, I'll have a bit of this and a bit of that, and then we'll get rid of that this week. We'll have some of this and some of that, and sort of constantly evolving and changing because it is a mutable sign. So I think that makes them pretty incredible people. And look, I have lots of Pisceans in my life, and I have had most of my life, even though I'm not a Pisces, I'm a Sagittarian, but I seem to have gravitated towards or had very strong friendships and relationships with Pisceans. It's sort of, maybe I was a Pisces in another life, I'm not sure, but, you know, it just sort of, it's a very comfortable energy to me. I sort of really understand and get these people, and I really do believe they get a lot of bad press, you know, the two fish chasing its tail. No, that's not the way I perceive Pisces. I see them as very creative, very loving, very kind and very gentle people. And we can learn a lot from them because they have a lot of wisdom and they have a lot of wisdom to share. And it's, you know, sometimes when things get a little bit out of balance for them, it does govern their mental health. But mental health doesn't mean that they've necessarily got an illness. You know, I affectionately call it, sometimes we all need to have a mental health day. Have the day off, go to the beach, do something that's fun. You know, give yourself yourself a break, get off the treadmill for a while, and then you can come back and look refreshed. And I think that saying probably came from a Pisces having a mental health day. It's really important. So we're going to move on now. We've got Mercury, the planet of communication, is retrograde. Look, my inbox has been full. When is Mercury going to go direct? Why is it affecting me this way? Why am I feeling this way? We have Mercury goes retrograde about 3 times a year for approximately 2.5 to 3 weeks at a time. This current Mercury retrograde is in Pisces. It will go through for another 9 days or until the 20th of this month. So you've got to look at, with it being in Pisces, it's asking us to all sort of dig deep. It's asking us to sort of try and find some creative solutions. Think about what we're communicating. How are we communicating? Are we rubbing somebody up the wrong way? Are they really listening? Do they understand what they're saying? It's interesting because with a Mercury retrograde, most people don't have their listening ears on. For whatever reason, they seem to be a little bit preoccupied, trying to sort of make sure that everything that they're working on is getting through, or, if they've sent parcels in the mail, making sure they get delivered. It's sort of, if you've got to send an email or some sort of text message, you've got to make sure that it gets through. It's the time when computers break down, cell phones break down, things that you go to do aren't simple. Like even before the show today, I went to fire up the laptop and all of a sudden it said there was an error, and I thought, no, don't panic, it'll be fine. I'll just push a few buttons and eventually got it to go. And it was just one of those Mercury retrograde things. And these happen to each and every one of us. Now, the fact that it's in Pisces, to me, is possibly a good thing at the moment, because it means we might be able to find some creative or different solutions in ways to communicate that wouldn't necessarily always be open to us. Because with it being in that gentler sort of energy of Pisces, and as I previously spoke about, with Pisces being able to pick and choose and take on board the energy of the previous 11 signs, and including that is the wisdom of communication or things that might need to be discussed or talked about. So maybe this is the best place for a Mercury retrograde at this current time in our lifetime with what's going on around the world. Maybe this is the best placement for Mercury, because communication will be of a creative nature, where they're going to try and find creative solutions, not necessarily, what seemingly on the surface might be hard line, but underneath that, it's like a duck swimming that, they look really calm on the top of the water, but their little feet are, their web feet are paddling like mad underneath. And that's maybe what's going on here. Everything looks calm or sort of in control on the surface, but there's a lot of activity going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of, a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, a lot of things being thrashed out. So I feel it's a very positive time. For us mere mortals, it's that time when you don't sign a contract if you don't absolutely desperately have to. If you do, please read it out aloud. If you read it out aloud, you're more inclined to pick up a mistake. It's one of those times I try not to post anything during this time unless you absolutely desperately have to, because quite often it gets lost or it gets rained on or something happens. It's a rotten time to be flying or traveling, because this is when they lose your luggage, flights get delayed. Everything that you can think of on a communication level can go backwards at the moment. So it's a time to sort of just calm down, chill out a little bit, watch your favourite movie or do something like that if you're having a bad day, and come back to it a little bit later when you're feeling a little bit more calm and together. We have Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion, is conjunct or holding hands Saturn, and Saturn is conjunct or holding hands Venus. Now, they're all in Aries at the moment. Now, this in astrological terms is called a stellium, because there's 3 planets all holding hands or all conjunct at the same time. So Neptune's leading the charge here. Neptune's only just gone into Aries. So Neptune is asking us to find some creative, different solutions. The Aries energy is about me first, and me first, but it's also a fire sign. So it's asking us to really sort of look at things in a very, very different sort of way. So we're predominantly talking about fire signs here: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and the opposite sign of Libra. So, Neptune is asking you to think outside the square, find a different solution, find a creative solution, but be aware that Neptune is actually holding hands with Saturn. So Saturn is the planet of discipline, the father figure. It sort of slows things down, asks you to find a rock solid solution. Don't go off willy-nilly. Don't go off, in a fast sort of fashion. tone it back a little bit, make sure that the steps that you're taking are definite and correct, to the best of your ability. And it's also conjunct Venus. Now, Venus is the planet of love and affection, but it's also the things that we love to do. So if we look at Neptune sort of creating the creativity and asking us to just sort of be a little bit more flexible and sort of, allowing us to sort of say, I don't know the solution or the answers to a lot of things, but I'm prepared to work on it. Then if you look at Saturn coming in and saying, okay, I'll give you the structure, I'll put the platform underneath this for us to be able to find some creative solutions or some different directions that we need to be sort of focusing on, and we'll get some answers. And then Venus comes in and says, well, I'll just pretty everything up and everything's going to be a lot easier than what it would have been. So these are all positive signs. Now, this will wash over the remaining 8 signs. I want to talk about something that I think is quite important, that sort of stood out to before the show when I was looking at where the planets were sitting, and that's a sextile that's coming from Pluto. Pluto's in Aquarius. Now, Pluto's only just gone into Aquarius in the last 6 months or so. Now, it's going to be there for 20 odd years. So we're going to have a lot of time to talk about Pluto and Aquarius. The reasons why I wanted to talk about Pluto today is it's making a sextile, or a really important aspect. A sextile in astrology terms is something that's flowing, that's easy. Now, it's making a sextile to Saturn. Now, as I said at the top of the show, I'm not going to refer to the war, but I'm going to refer to it in this sort of way, in a general sort of way, with things that are going on in the world. Now, Pluto, the planet of transformation, is in Aquarius. Now, Pluto is slow, deliberate, and definite. A lesson learnt by Pluto is a lesson that we don't ever forget. Now, the fact that it's only 4 degrees into the sign and has a hell of a long way to go, Pluto is being asked to think outside the square, to find different solutions, to find different ways of resolving issues that might be going on. Now, because there's the sextile and things are flowing, and we've got Saturn, the planet of discipline, in Aries, it's asking somebody to lead the way forward. It's asking somebody to be firm, to be definite, to sort of say, right, this is what we're going to do. If we're going to get a resolution or we're going to change something, we need to do it in a very diplomatic and very structured sort of way. It's not the time to go in with some airy-fairy nonsense. It's the time to go in there with a definite plan and some definite strategic plans to be able to bring results. Now, this can apply to many areas of things in life. It's not just applying to the Middle East, it's applying to everything. So this is definitely going to be affecting the air signs, which is Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. The opposite sign is Leo. It's also going to be affecting the fire signs, which is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and the opposite sign again of Libra. So we've got a double emphasis there on the Libra energy. So anybody that's sort of a Librian, they might be finding that there's some massive changes coming up into their lives, and it could just be something coming out of nowhere, like a job offer that they, oh, wow, where did that come? Terrific. Yes, I'll say yes to that. And it can be that simple. It can be something that you weren't thinking of, or something that you didn't see that could happen, that could come out of nowhere and bring much more structure to your life. And for those people that might only be on contract work, an extension of your contract, or a new job that brings more stability into your life. So this is how this can work. It doesn't have to be relating to what's going on in the Middle East. It can be a restructuring of your life if you're one of those signs that I spoke about, but it will wash over the remaining signs, the remaining 6 that I didn't cover. Now, the big news this week is Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion and opportunity, has finally gone direct, which is amazing. It's been going retrograde for a long time now. So Jupiter's sitting in Cancer. So yes, it's affecting the water signs, which is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and the opposite sign of Capricorn, but it's washing over the remaining 8 signs too. And when Jupiter's gone direct as it is now, it means finally we can start to get some traction. We can start to feel as if we're making some momentum in life, that things are starting to move forward again. It's sort of like we've had taken 2 steps forwards, 5 back, 3 forward, 2 back. It's like we've been on a piece of elastic for such a long time trying to get projects off the ground. Well, things will start to free up now and move forward. We've also still got Uranus sitting in Taurus. It will be there until the end of April, as I mentioned, before it crosses into Gemini. So Uranus is in the tail end of sorting out what it is that needs to be structured. So Uranus sitting in an earth sign. So this is going to affect all the earth signs, which is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio. So, what Uranus is trying to do is finally sort of settle everything down. Anything that needed to be changed, structured in your life, should have already changed by now. If it hasn't, it'll be sudden, deliberate, and definite. So, be very, very careful what you send out to the universe at the moment. Don't say, I hate my job, because you might just lose it, because that's all Uranus will hear is, you hate the job, I'll get rid of it for you. So, Uranus works very suddenly. It's like a bolt of lightning out of the blue. But I'm looking at Uranus sitting in Taurus in a very positive way, because Uranus is also about the things that we value, the things that I might value personally, me, myself, and I. So it's a very personal thing. So people will be, no matter what your star sign is, you will be reevaluating what is important to you at the moment and the things that you need to be addressing going forward. For a lot of people, there will be some forward planning or some forward thinking, or having more than one plan. You could be going through a major issue in your life and you're looking at plan A, B, C, D, E, F, not knowing which way things are going to fall, but you've got all the bases covered. And that's exactly what Uranus wants you to do, is to have all the bases covered so that you know exactly what's going on. We're going to take our first caller now. So this is, and I'm going to get this wrong, I know, is Marissa in Duluth in Minnesota, USA. And I do apologize, Marissa. I probably got your name wrong. How can I help you today, sweetie?
My name's Myrissa, so close enough.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I just knew I was going to get it wrong, Myrissa. Okay. Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie? That's a really pretty name.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm currently going through some major life changes with relationships and moving and jobs, and I mean, you name it, I'm kind of going through it. So just kind of seeing if there's any positive direction, or which path, am I on the right path, or maybe am I not on the right path, kind of things like that.
Well, I can guarantee you're on the right path. Look, I feel for you going through all this change all at once. It's like you got out of bed one morning and said, I'll just tip the whole of my world upside down in one part. Let's do the whole lot in one go. And it's a very brave thing to do. But I feel also, Myrissa, it was overdue. It was sort of something that's been percolating and building for some time. It wasn't something that just happened one day when you got out of bed and said, I'm going to tip everything upside down. This has been slowly building for about 18 months to 2 years. So it's just that it's all come together and come to a head at the same time. I want to focus on the relationship first, if I can. To me, I feel I'm not necessarily saying it's the wrong connection. I'm saying there needs to be some very definite adjustments there, and there needs to be more honesty. And I'm going to say from both points of view. You both need to be very, very open and honest with each other of what you're expecting or what you need out of the relationship for this to have a fighting chance of settling down and working out. If for some reason that what the other person is sort of offering is not what you can handle or what you want, and it really goes against your grain, then you have to make a decision and say, okay, it's time for that to be gone, because it's holding me back as a person on my own personal growth. They haven't shown me one direction or the other. They're just showing me that there needs to be more open and honest communication there, and then the answer will come, and it'll be very clear. You won't be able to mistake. It'll be either a yes or a no. So that's really important. As far as sort of moving and things like that, I don't feel uncomfortable with that. I think this is all part of the transformation that's going on in your life at the moment, Myrissa. And it's a good thing, because, you needed a fresh start in every way. There's certainly, I don't know whether you've just landed a new job, but there's certainly a new job that's right sitting around you at the moment. Have you just landed a job?
Well, I have an interview coming up soon, and there's prospects for me transferring my job, but it's just kind of all up in the air on kind of what to do, I guess.
Okay. So with the transfer, would that take you a long distance away from where you are now?
Well, I've picked where I want to move, and so my job, I lived a few hours away, and so my job is kind of thinking I might be able to keep my job and work it a few hours away down here. But I've also been looking at other opportunities, and now I have a job interview on Thursday as well for kind of around around the same profession.
Okay. I felt this was something new, and I felt it wasn't, like, to me, it would involve a move of residence as well. It wasn't just sort of like taking a job 2 miles down the road. This to me involved a whole new life. So if you've already picked out where you want to live, then it's just a matter of we've got to find the right connection for the job. Look, I'm not saying you can't get a transfer where you are. I just sort of feel that even with a transfer, I think in time, 6 months, 12 months, I think you'd be questioning whether or not it's time to move on. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, it's like that's outlived its usefulness, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, that makes complete sense. I was kind of thinking the same thing. New start, new
Yeah, so,
everything.
I'm not saying don't take it if this other job doesn't pan out, but what I'm saying is just be aware that you're still going to be unsettled in it. Like you're looking for something new, you're looking for something more to get your teeth into, something where they're going to take more notice of what you bring to the table. I just don't feel appreciated where you're currently working.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I'm very happy that you
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah, and you're not imagining any of these things. I mean, I think take one step at a time. I mean, look at the relationship with what I said to you about some honest communication, and then the answer will come to that. You already have the answer to the work situation. If, the interview goes well and you get offered a position and you're happy with it and it's in the new location, then you've got a choice then, do I take that or do I just, try and get a transfer where I am? But you'll know in the pit of your stomach what's the right direction to take. And I just feel this is the right move. And I think this is something that, as I said, has been percolating along in the background for some time. And you're ready to take
Oh
that
yeah.
leap of faith now, and start that whole new life. And it's the right time, Marissa. It's good. It feels great.
Yeah. I'm really happy that you said that. Yeah, it's been in the works for it's been around 8 months to around a year and a half, where it's really just
Yeah.
been like I can't take it no more where I was and
No, and it's
how
been
I was
slowly
being
building,
stifled. And
you know.
yes,
Yeah, and that's
it
good
really
because you
has.
didn't just sort of react. You allowed it to build at its own momentum, and now it's got to the point where I've got to make a choice, and that's good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you a lot. You absolutely hit it right on the head.
Wonderful. Okay, Marissa, that's where we're going to leave it. I wish you well with your changes, sweetie. They're going to be good. We're going to talk with Kelly now in Dauphin in Manitoba in Canada. Are you there, Kelly? And I'm sure I've pronounced your location wrong, Kelly. How can I help you, sweetie?
It's okay. It's okay, thank you. I'm just
Can you speak
worried
up a little bit,
and
sweetie? I
concerned
can't
about.
hear you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm just worried and concerned about my father. Recently, he's been diagnosed with cancer, and I just want to know
Oh.
if what we're doing is going to help him, or if he's going to need something a little bit more aggressive.
Okay. Health issues are one of those very tricky areas, Kelly, that we can't really discuss by laws of different states and countries and things like that. But what I can do is look at your dad's health on an energetic sort of level. And energetically, I feel he's tired. Now, look, I know that, having a debilitating disease like that can sort of make you feel tired, but this seems to I feel more tired than what I think I should. It's like I feel soul tired. I'm not sure that he's actually, how can I put this? He's aware of what he's got and he's aware he's got to fight, but it's almost like it's too hard to fight. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it actually does.
And I'm not saying that that's the wrong attitude for him to have. And I'm not saying that's going to spell, that he's not going to beat this. But what I'm saying is you need to be aware of that. It's like he feels so very overwhelmed. It's like, I haven't got the energy, like it's like, oh, just all go away and leave me alone. I just want to sit down. I'm tired. I want to sleep. I want to do whatever. It's sort of like he feels that everything that he's got to do is taking more energy than what he's got. Now, I'm not saying that he's wrong in the way that he's looking at things, and I'm not saying that what medical, suggestions have been made and treatments that have been offered are wrong. I'm just saying, please be aware of that he needs to feel that this is right for him. It's not just about what you might want. He's the one that's going through this illness, and he's got to feel comfortable and on board with it. Do you know what I mean? If he sort of says, look, I can't do this today, I just want to sleep, then maybe we've just got to reschedule a doctor's appointment or a treatment if that's what he needs. Sometimes I think we forget to honor how we feel. And I think you need to do that with Dad. He's not a weak man. I'm not saying that in any form, shape, or size. He's a very strong man, and usually a very strong-willed man, but he's feeling very tired. If you can imagine, he's like a car. There's no petrol in the car and there's nothing left in the reserve tank. He needs to try and build that up a little bit. And that may just be, he might just need, a couple of days to sleep, or, to do something that makes his heart sing, and then he's right to go again. But I do feel that there's going to be other suggestions that are going to be put forward in the ways that they can manage this condition for him. And I'm not saying one's right or wrong. I think you just got to take on board what's offered at the time and sort of sit down and work out whether this is right for him and is he happy with it, because at the end of the day, it's his body. He's the one that's going through it. I appreciate that you love him and he's your dad and you don't want to lose him, and we want to do everything we can to make him to be able to beat this illness, but you've also got to consider he's the one that's got to face it. He's the one that's got to go through things, and he's got to be comfortable with it. He's a strong man, but he's feeling very tired at the moment. That's what I picked up around him. And, you just got to support him the best way you can, Kelly.
Yeah. And that's what I keep asking myself too. Like, I just ask for clarity to try and realize, I guess, that
look, cancer's not always
hard to admit it, but I understand totally. I'm just trying to. I'm just really concerned about my dad. That's all. And I thought hopefully somebody.
Yeah, and I know you're a loving daughter, sweetie, and you're trying to do everything. You're trying to do everything you can for him, but you've got to remember at the end of the day, these have got to be his decisions and his choices, and you need to support that, sweetie. I get a good feeling. I just think you just got to let him rest at the moment and regather his strength, and then he'll be ready to sort of fight it head on again. Anyway, sweetie, that's where we've got to leave it. I wish you and your dad well with, his progress with him trying to regain his really good health again, and I'm sure things are going to improve. It's really interesting when we're facing things like Kelly is with a family, and you're trying to do everything that's right, but we sometimes forget the patient themselves is the one that needs to make the decisions. We're there to be a support. It's not always about us. It's about the other person and what they're going through and what choices that they want to make. So this week I want to leave you with a song that I thought was pretty appropriate for the way there's such chaos in the world, and here in Australia we're having more flooding events, and there seems to be weather events wherever you look around the world, whether it's terrible storms and snowstorms, and nothing seems to be what we used to say, quote, normal. And I think what the world needs now, and Dionne Warwick says it very, very well, what the world needs now is more love. And I think that we could all do with a little bit more love and a little bit more positivity in the world to be able to sort of fight our way through with what's coming up in the next week, and sort of, put some positivity into our lives. And it's a beautiful song with beautiful words. So I'll leave you with Dionne Warwick and What the World Needs Now. Bye for now.